To Congressman Doug Collins, Republican of Georgia, House GOP Conference Vice Chair. Congressman, there's obviously going to be a lot of back and forth, give and take on these and other issues. But by and large, do you see this passing, at least where you are, the House?
Oh, Neil, this is a good day, and yes, I see it passing the House. And look, I'll just remind my friends in the Senate, we have passed things before. It's time to get on board. We're going to pass tax reform. We're going to work together. But I just want you to stop for a second, Neil. There's a sound going on. I heard it as I was walking over here, and it was the sound of the tentacles of the IRS getting out of our pockets further so that our money can be used for the things that Americans want to use it for. Hardworking Americans can spend their tax dollars that were going to a federal government are now going to be in their pockets to spend. That's the sound of freedom, Neil, and this is what this day begins.
You know, obviously, you're hamstrung a little bit, Congressman. You wanted to be very aggressive on these tax cuts, but of course, you have to, as part of budget reconciliation, and to get just a majority, not 60 votes, you have to stay within the budgetary constraints here. And so some are saying that these tax cuts don't go far enough, that outside of what you're doing on the corporate rate, bring it down from 35% immediately to 20%, which is a big deal. I do not want to minimize that this wasn't quite the big revolution that many thought it would be. You say what?
I say then why, get on board. I say at this point in time, in 30 years almost of waiting for this, we're looking at, and again, for people who are looking at this at individual, maybe aspects of it or other possibilities, and they're starting to try and pick it out and saying, oh, it's not far enough, it's not this. Let me just say this. For the American people, it's time we give them relief. When you look at it, we're taking the first $24,000 of a person's income and saying no longer will the federal government put their tentacles on that. We're taking it $12,000 for singles. When we're taking businesses and giving them a better plan where they can actually deduct expenses for capital expenses in the same year when we're driving an economy. For those naysayers, my question is this. Do you want people to not have more of their money? Do you want businesses to be stifled? Do you want more business to continue going across the country? If those naysayers are out there wanting to do that, then all I can say is explain that to the American people. And by the way, that's also a challenge for my Democratic friends. You go explain to the American people why you wouldn't be for letting the businesses and American individuals have more of their own money.
Has any of your Democratic colleagues, speaking of whom, said we're on board with this?
They're privately behind the scenes. They understand tax reform. Whether they'll come out and say that or not, that's going to be up to them. But I will, know over the next few months, I'll be happy to go to, and talk about that here with you or anywhere else and say, why wouldn't you be for giving more Americans freedom? Why wouldn't you be for a fair and simple process? And by the way, if anybody wants to see our bill, go to fairandsimple.org. We got that on our tax bill. They can go look at this. They know what we're working on, and we know what we're working for, and that's the hardworking American people.
Real quickly, sir, are you open to, as some of your colleagues have expressed, increasing this mortgage interest deduction, or the tax deduction, I should say, right now that's hits a $10,000 ceiling, since a lot of folks have already said, wait a minute, I'm going to lose my state and local, tax hit. I want something a little bit more than $10,000. What do you say?
Well, I think let's look at it from a total picture. Kevin Brady has said that they're going to be tweaking and putting the final touches on this, but also we got to look at this as a total package. When you actually are lowering your rates, when you're looking at other things that you're going to still have it deductibility-wise, when you're able to go from most people, frankly, Neil, this is something we don't talk about enough. There's only 40% or so people actually itemizing, and by our new plan, that could go into the single digits. You're talking about things that we're actually adding. People who don't itemize now are actually going to get a mortgage deduction because they haven't been taking it because they haven't been itemizing. These are the kind of things that people need to take a look at the whole bill, look at what it does for our country, and think about where we're heading in the future.
Congressman, thank you very, very much.